Hey guys, Dan here, just giving you an update from a friend's church in Brisbane who's got a cafe here and reaching out to the local community, which is kind of great timing because this update that we're doing this week is actually talking about really big question. When we think of the chicken and the egg question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? A similar question is what comes first, disciples or the church? You know, as Christians, do we go about planting and building great churches, hoping to high heaven that disciples come out of them? Or do we just simply make disciples knowing that churches are naturally going to come from them as they spend time together? You know, I think personally that one of the great answers to this, if not the answer, comes from Jesus himself. He was awesome with his words, and his last words, as all last words are, were so important, precise, and purposeful. He said, go and make disciples of all nations. He also said, baptize them and teach them to obey all that I've commanded, which are other things that we're doing, but the focus is go and make disciples. You know, Jesus wants us to prioritize the work of making disciples over the equally necessary, but not as important work of building and growing churches. You know, Jesus makes it really clear where we put our effort. If you've been a part of a church before, you know that there's some beautiful, amazing churches around, all doing great things, all with great people, with great intentions in them. But not every church is seeing people come to be more like Jesus than the year before. I've been like that. I've been in churches my whole life. And I can't say that every year I was in a church, I was more like Jesus intentionally. But Jesus says, if we put our efforts into encouraging each other, to growing each other, to nourishing each other, to come to find Jesus first and then to follow him with more and more of our lives together, that is the way that church will grow. And in fact, where we spend so much time agonizing over the details of church, Jesus said, if you make disciples, I will build my church. And so there's an order of priority. Church, I've been employed by churches most of my adult life now, and I know they're necessary, the work that goes in, but they're not the priority, the most important thing. And so for us as a church, when we talk about our 3 church rhythms, they are very intentionally discipleship focused. We talk about knowing, inviting, and gathering. So get to know Jesus. Okay, without this, we're not helping each other make disciples. That's a number one thing. We're not encouraging each other to be like Christ, to follow him ourselves. Secondly, to love our neighbours as ourselves. Again, you don't need a church building to do this. Love our neighbours as ourselves. Invite people into our life, which is an expression of loving our neighbours as ourselves. So again, you need no resources or budget to do this. You can do this on your own, or you can do it even better together. Thirdly, gathering and getting involved. Jesus gathered each week with other believers in God. He encouraged the first church to do that, and the first Christians did that themselves very passionately. In fact, they gathered more than once a week. But we want to gather at least once a week and get involved together. And you'll notice when we talk about getting involved, we say really simple things. The priority is connecting with each other in meaningful ways, listening to each other, sharing our own story with others, and at the right appropriate time, offering to pray with and for each other. Again, there's other things that happen. The tents get set up every week. There's morning tea happens every week. I prepare a message every week. Emails go out every week. But those 4 things are the things that make disciples. That's the work that we want to prioritize. So I want to encourage you, that's what we're called to do. I want to affirm to you that that's what we are seeking to do. When we talk about our rhythms, that's the purpose behind them. And there'll be some things that aren't ideal or clear as they could be at our church, that maybe at other churches are much clearer. And that's okay. That's a risk we are taking so that we can prioritize the most important things. So we look forward to you being on the journey with us. We know we're maturing and we're growing like everyone and everything. But I'm asking for your help and your support to make sure that we all keep the main thing, just like my mate's church here, almost in the middle of, or just on the edges of the city of Brisbane. And I'm meeting with him today as we're going to encourage each other, and he's particularly going to be encouraging and giving me wise words on how we can make, and I can make sure that we keep the main thing as Jesus asked us to. Cheers, God bless, and I'll see you on Sunday.